Hello, and welcome to Inside the Keyway. We're back with another episode looking at all things NBL. If you love the NBL, you're in the right place. Hopefully, we'll sound like we know what we're talking about. So sit back, settle in, and let's step inside the Keyway. I'm Cameron Porlock, and as always, I'm joined by Nathan Shaw. Welcome, Nathan.
Cameron, thank you for having me again.
It's okay. It's been a big week this week. Playoffs are all done and dusted, and we're now left with the final two. Let's have a look at the playoff games first, and then we'll jump into our thoughts on the championship series.
Sounds like a plan. Lots of midweek. How did you go with the midweek games? Do you like a midweek game?
I'm not overly fond of them, but, it is what it is. I watched them on delay, so I was aware of the scores before I went in and watched them.
I think I watched them all live. In Brisbane they start at 6:30 p.m. with daylight savings, so it worked out pretty well. Have dinner and then sit down and have a watch. I didn't mind the midweek games. I still prefer a weekend, of course, but I guess venues don't allow it. They've got to book them well in advance. So I think we're stuck with the midweek finals for a long time.
Yeah, unfortunately. I guess they look at it from a ratings point of view, that they, especially Wednesday games, because there's never anything else on Wednesdays. So they assume that they'll get a bit more viewership on those nights. And that's
nice to break up the early week of the Tuesday night game last week as well. I did actually quite like the Tuesday night.
So we'll go to game 1, 36ers versus the Phoenix. Phoenix win this one 104-97. What did you make of it?
That one I made of it. I think a discussion we had was whether Adelaide would be rested or rusty, and they looked, especially Bryce Cotton, looked particularly rested. I think that's exactly what he needed. By the end of the season, he was looking pretty tired during some of those games, and he came out and I think it was 42 points in game 1, just killed him. A common theme through these Adelaide games is going to be our mate Rakocevic. I'm sure Cotton was player of the series, but Rakocevic put up, I think, a double-double in every game. His minutes increased. I think he had 14 and 10 in the first game. And I really noticed, and another theme that went through the series is how out of form Jenkins is for Adelaide. I don't think he played too much. I don't know exact minutes for game 1 here, but I know by the third game, I think he played 1 minute in game 3. For Phoenix in game 1, I think they just didn't get enough out of Wundu and Foxwell. Adelaide just looked better. I mean, they only lost by 7. They didn't look great, and they only lost by 7. So at that stage, I thought there was a bit of hope for Phoenix, and I was probably still backing them for the series. But yeah, game 1, Adelaide looked pretty good.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Cotton was 66.6% from field goals, 54.5% from 3-point. Just unstoppable. I don't think Phoenix really did the job that they needed to on him. Not a lot of double teaming, trying to get the ball out of his hands, things like that. Rakocevic, I've been practicing that name all week.
I've written it down here. I've written Rakocevic. It was really amateur of us last time to not know his name.
Yeah, as you said, 14 points, 10 rebounds, double-double across all 3 games. I've actually got a question for later on, but I'll ask it now because we may as well get it out of the way. Is he the type of player that if he's on your team, you love everything he brings, what he does, but if he's on the opposition team, you absolutely hate his guts?
I also have a question about him for you later, and it's along the same lines, but that's exactly what he is. He's one of the great agitators. And he cannot help himself. I watched him very closely over those 3 games. And even, I think, Game 3, DJ Mitchell came on in the last 5 minutes. So he had nothing to do with Rukosevic for Games 1 and 2. There was no tension built up or anything. I think there was a foul, and he just couldn't help himself. Mitchell was in front of him. He just had to push him. Just had to put 2 hands into him and push him out of the way. It's great. And he's growing on me. He is growing on me.
It's one of those things that you don't really have too many players like that these days. But if you go back to sort of the late 80s, early 90s, they were everywhere.
That's my question. Park that, because that's my question for later.
Okay.
That's a good one. That's exactly what he reminds me of. And we'll go through some names.
Okay. And then Sobey, not a great shooting night, but I think he kept them in touch. Yeah, it wasn't a great game by them on a whole.
No, and to only lose by 7 gave me hope that they'd be all right.
Same. I will go to Kings versus Wildcats, game 1. So 105 to 104, with Kings winning that one. KD with 35 points, 66.6% from field goal, 71.4% from 3-point. It's pretty impressive, as was Cotton's from their game 1. I really liked Terry Craig in this one. Torrey Craig, sorry. I think he kept the scoreboard ticking over when they weren't looking great. And then Davis came in and really got them going when they needed to.
Absolutely. So I write some notes down during the game, and I also put Torrey Craig down early. He kept the ship afloat. It was a very rusty start from Sydney. Perth looked really good. I found myself, I'm not a Perth supporter by any means, and I quite like Sydney, but I found myself kind of supporting Perth a little bit in this game because I felt like they kind of deserved it. No one gave them a shot, including us, before the game. But they pushed them. They threw everything they had at them at Sydney. It could have gone either way. Some of Perth's last-second shot choices were, again, there was no timeout on the last play. Maybe they didn't have one this time. I'm not sure, but I know in the past John Riley's just let them go. And for a team without a real point guard, it's a risk.
Yeah.
Blew up in their faces again.
So I had a question around that because they did have a timeout. And so I should really have called that timeout.
Well, they were none from 2 on the last plays of that timeout before that, and I think the stakes are quite high. I think it's probably time to call a timeout in that situation.
I agree.
The play was shambolic again. There was nothing. It was Doolittle on his own, no structure. JLA just standing there with his arms in the air, not knowing what he's supposed to do, whether he's in the way or not.
Yeah, and to give your players a rest.
Yep.
Because that's one of my notes that I've got here is they had 5 players play more than 30 minutes. Doolittle, Windler, and Pepper all playing over 35 minutes, and JLA wasn't far off that either.
Yep. And those ones that you just named dominated for them again. Henshaw was very quiet, and Duke Jr. came on, and he was very good when he was on, but he came on and off. Something that I wrote down here is, and Cotton's the same, some of the calls that KD gets, and actually John really wasn't happy about the refereeing after the game, and I can't blame him. Some of the calls KD gets, both he and Cotton kind of run through the key and just yell. They just go, and throw their arms, and they just get it every time, and it would drive me absolutely crazy if I was on the other team. And
absolutely.
And it does. You can see that it does. But I think he had 13 free throws, Davis. You could see the frustration, and you could hear it in the post game from really just the calls that the superstar calls, I guess they are.
Yeah, I've got a question around flopping that I'll ask later.
Yeah.
I do think Perth were a little bit unlucky not to come away with that one. Yeah, as you said, Sydney didn't. They came out rusted. They didn't play at their best at all. So, I think Perth were a little bit unlucky, and Sydney got lucky.
And you kind of thought, if Perth, when they lost that one, you thought, that's it. They can't do that again. They've just blown their best chance there, especially seeing Windler go off at the end and hearing he'd be done.
That was, he didn't look great for the whole game. And then him going down near the end, it's just devastating for him and the team. And as I said last week, plantar fasciitis are difficult things to deal with at the best of time. And so playing with it slightly agitated, not great. It looks like he's torn it now.
Yeah. And I guess he wasn't too mobile in that game. A lot of his points came from really, really deep threes.
Yeah.
For some very, very well timed deep threes, I must say. But you sort of saw the writing on the wall once he was out.
Yeah. So on to 36ers versus Phoenix game 2. Phoenix came out on top with this one, 101-92. This was Sobey's game. 41 points, 51.8% from the field, and 50% from three-point range. Cotton, 29 points. Rakocevic, 18 and 10 rebounds. And his efficiency was pretty good. He was 72.7% from field goal and 66.6% from three-point range.
Yep, another Rakocevic game. Classic Adelaide implosion. They were cruising in the first half, but you could just see they were starting to argue with each other. DJ was coming on and off, and he was really showing how unhappy he was every time he came off. Rakocevic not happy that his coach wasn't reviewing calls that he felt that should have been reviewed, but I think they were all fair calls from what we saw.
Yep.
Humphreys, 6 minutes in the whole game. I know he got two early fouls, but that doesn't justify 6 minutes in the entire game.
Yeah.
So
I've got a question on that one.
He's the sort of player who does get his head down, but he's a confidence guy, and he gets his head down. So yeah, very brave move to only play him 6 minutes. But yeah, what do you got?
So my thing is, has it been blown out of proportion considering how well Rakocevic was actually playing?
I think you find more than 6 minutes, and in game 3 he did. I think he had. I don't know. I'd have to look it up, but he played plenty more, and he scored, and he was good. He was quite dominant down there. So it turned out all right, but after game 2, I just thought, what's going on there?
Yeah, he certainly looked unhappy sitting on that bench.
Yeah. So I'd say not blown out of proportion because 6 minutes is very low. So there's got to be a reason, especially when Phoenix were just dominating that second half. You would think you'd throw him in for a go, but maybe there's more to it. Maybe they know when he gets his head down, there's no coming back from it. Sobey, as you said, Sobey in the second half just couldn't stop him. Lewis hit a couple of big shots towards the end, which is good. He's just so quiet and he doesn't show any emotion. But just him stepping up late was excellent. I think it was just a classic case of both teams. An Adelaide implosion and Southeast Melbourne playing in bursts, offensive bursts as they do. But yeah, it was good. Adelaide were good. Phoenix were good and sent it to a game 3 so we could watch some Tuesday night basketball.
Yeah. I didn't have too many notes for this game. I just, it was the Sobey show in that second half. You could definitely see some of that coming in the second quarter. And that was part of, as you said, Adelaide having their implosion at that point. And it just fed on from there.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's about all I got on that one.
Yeah, and so we go to Kings versus Wildcats game 2, 75-89 with the Kings taking this one. Henschel showed up, 20 points, 46.6% from the field, and 38.4% from three-point range. I just don't think they got enough from anyone else, really.
Yep.
Daly did a great job on Doolittle to start the game, and Malawatch continued that when he needed to take over.
I've got just the Perth lacked manpower without Windler especially. I think they got 12 points in total from their bench. They only ran 3 players on the bench for a total of 12. I find it interesting that Sunday Deck doesn't play much.
I was thinking that as well when I was looking at all the stats and the times, and he played 1 minute for the game, and I don't feel like he's been used all that much this season.
No, and he's signed a 3-year contract. It's his first year back there, and he's on 3 years, so they're going to have to find something to do. I don't know if he's not, because he was on Kendrick and wearing him like a glove for when he was on, but it must be offensive based and just mustn't be a spot for him there.
Yeah, because defensively he's been great every season. Offensively, not the best. But to see his minutes drop off like they have compared to where he was, I don't know, not maybe last season at Adelaide, but the season before that, you could count on him without any issue.
Maybe it's the case of the league getting stronger and players like him just drop off with quality. Yeah, that'll be an interesting watch.
Yeah, because you could say the same about Lat Mayen as well.
Yeah, absolutely. He didn't get on at all, did he?
No, he was a DMP.
Yeah, so Perth, I mean, we probably can talk about it now because that's game 2. Perth, what do you do with Perth in the off-season? Or do you bring back the 3 imports? What do you do there? Because they've got the makings of something good. They've just a point guard short.
Yeah, I think you move Duke Jr. on. Doolittle's back.
Yeah, Windler's back. And JLA is contracted, but Olgun was saying there's some question marks over whether he would be back.
Okay. Is that a him or a team?
Yeah, it could be either. The way the year's gone, he could not like playing as the number 2 to Doolittle.
Yeah, because those two have definitely had some issues.
Or the team, I mean, they're paying him a lot of cash. Maybe the team's not thinking they're not getting what they're paying for, but that'll be one to watch as well, actually.
It will. But yeah, I'd be moving Duke Jr. on and trying to find that legitimate point guard. Really's great, but realistically, he'll be a second year. I don't think he's quite there yet.
He'd be a good backup.
Serviceable backup.
Yeah, yes. And Pepper's out of contract as well. So because he's going to want more money, do you bring him back? Because I feel like you got Henschel there if he's staying, because he might be interested in college as well. Do you need Henschel and Pepper?
Probably not. Not if you've got that point guard coming in. You could probably get away with just one of them. I think I'd take Pepper.
Yeah. They're one I'm really interested to watch. Put them alongside Melbourne United as a watch. It'll be very interesting to see how they go about the off season, because I don't think they're far away. Just a couple of pieces, and I think John Riley's a good coach.
Yeah.
Start calling timeouts on the last play, maybe.
Yeah. Look, I think for this game, Kings just did what they had to do.
Yeah, they did. It was pretty.
I don't think they played their best across both games, but it was enough to obviously get them the W's and move on into. I feel like it was more that Perth didn't have all the pieces needed. And then with the minutes played by their main group in the first game, they didn't have the legs left to really push in this one.
Yep, I'm with you on that one. Routine win for Sydney in the end.
Yeah. Malawatch was really good for this game. 23 points. 23 points, 66.6% field goal percentage, and 60% from 3-point line.
And Davis did what he does.
Yeah.
And I think Delhi was a really good one for this, as you mentioned before. Delhi for this series, just guard whoever. Like he'll come off the bench, won't complain. Like, oh, you're going to take Doolittle for the next 2 games. He just gets it done.
Yep.
And I think that will be spoken about as one of the biggest signings of the year.
Yeah.
If any win.
Yep. Do you think Melbourne sort of coughed it not re-signing him?
I really do. And at the start of the season, it looked like maybe Melbourne had done the right thing because he started slowly trying to find his place there. But I mean, the whole team were trying to find their place. But yes, I think Melbourne would be looking back on that going, gee, we could have done with him down the stretch there.
Yeah.
So too bad, Melbourne.
Yep. Any more on that game?
No, that's it for me there.
Sweet. So we'll move on to the 36ers versus Phoenix game 3, 108-96. Cotton with another fantastic performance. 38 points, 50% field goal, 36.3% from 3-point, and 7 assists. I thought DJ really stepped up in this one. I'm not his biggest fan, but he gave him 27 points, 61% field goal, and 60% 3-point. And then Rakocevic with another double-double. So, as we said, three double-doubles in a row.
Yeah, Mike. I don't usually give Mike Wells too much credit, but moving DJ into the starting five, stroke of genius here. He's a confidence player, and he had it. The whole team did, but he was confident from the word go. He was hitting shots. He did an absolute number on Nathan Sobey mentally. He had him, along with the crowd booing every time he touched the ball. Sobey was cooked, mentally cooked right from the beginning. Adelaide were just ready. They were ready, and they took it to him immediately. Cotton wasn't even looking for too many shots early, and the same in game 2. He wasn't shooting much early, and he still finishes with 30 odd.
Yep.
And a lot of his points came from offensive rebounds from teammates that kick it back out to him, and he's just on his own. I thought Southeast Melbourne did an Adelaide here and just emotionally imploded. They couldn't keep themselves together. The frustration really boiled over with the calls that Cotton gets, how he just throws his arms and legs out and gets the calls. Normally, they're pretty good at holding it together in that, but I guess they were 10 to 15 behind all game, and they just couldn't get any closer. I think it got back to 8 briefly, but they couldn't get any closer, and they just couldn't handle it anymore. A lot of them were complaining. Josh King was not happy with the refereeing. I don't think the refereeing was shocking. I think it was just Adelaide's day.
Yeah. Actually, so I think I missed this for game 2, but I can ask it here as well. Or do I have it later on? Actually, we'll save it for later on. It's part of my questions for without notice. So for this game, I felt like coming into it that Phoenix had already used their get out of jail card. And I think I said this to you just before the game. And so as much as I wanted them to win, I felt like Adelaide was going to get through. I did expect it a little bit closer than what it was. But otherwise, yeah, I agree with you. Phoenix kind of imploded. They let the foul calls get to them. Still didn't really double on Cotton too much.
Yeah. They don't have a Cotton stopper, do they? Not many teams do, but they really don't have a Cotton stopper.
Yeah. So not too many notes for me. You've already covered pretty much what I think as well. It was. And I'm not overly happy that they're there, but that's the way it goes.
Did you see Mike Wells' tech foul and Bryce Cotton's reaction?
I did.
Thoughts on that?
It's not a great look. You really can't have your best player going off at your coach, even if he deserves it, because it was a stupid tech foul. There was no need for it.
I liked Mike Wells' reaction. The zoom in on his face was so good. I rewound it and watched it a couple of times. It was so good. But yeah, I agree. It was a dumb tech foul. But yeah, man, do you think Bryce Cotton would react like that to Trevor Gleason getting a tech foul?
No.
No.
I'm not sure if Wells will be there next season. Even if they win it, I feel like there are some problems.
If they'd lost, I had some really good questions for you lined up about Wells and DJ and Humphreys and everything, but they're all out the window. We'll save it for after the final series.
So that takes us to the championship series, Kings versus 36ers. We've got game 1 this Saturday, 1st of March. Game 2 will be the following Friday. And then game 3 on the Sunday and game 4 on the Wednesday. And game 5 is yet to be determined. We'll see if it's needed. I have a question. Do you think the delay between the first game and the second game is an issue?
I was thinking about it today. Do you remember the 90s? A lot of people won't, but 90s basketball, it was always game 1 Saturday, game 2 Friday, game 3, if needed, Sunday, like 2 days later. Yeah. So there was always a big gap like that, but we're not used to it now. We're used to 3 days tops between games. So I don't mind it, but it seems a bit out of place when they've been rushing to get everything played so quickly to then just have 6 days between game 1 and 2 and then get all the others in close together. So if it was all spaced out, I wouldn't have as much of an issue, but I just think it's a bit strange. But again, it's probably venue availability again and getting both teams a weekend game to start with.
Yeah, I agree. I would have preferred to see it sort of a midweek game. But as you said, it used to happen all the time back in the 90s, so I don't mind it too much.
I could do a Friday, Sunday.
Yeah.
Something like that. But yeah. Again, like I said in the previous podcast, Cameron, they don't ask us, do they?
No, we're just a bunch of numpties.
We'll just watch it whenever they put it on.
That's right. I've got Davis v. Cotton. It's going to be a fun watch. I do think defensively they'll throw Daly on Bryce. I don't think Adelaide have anyone that can actually stay in front of Davis. And, Sydney have done a really good job on Cotton this season. If they can keep him quietish, I think they may get it done in 4. But I, in all honesty, think it'll go the distance. But Kings in 5.
Kings in 5. I'm swaying between Kings in 3 and Kings in 4. I just think they're gonna. I don't know. Adelaide keep talking about how everyone doubts them, but I'm doing it again. And Sydney is so dominant. I was actually trying to work out, and I could just look at the draw and find out, but I was thinking about last time Sydney lost, and they must be up to about 10 games in a row by now. It can't be far off. Should have done the research.
Yeah, I think it's 11 or 12 in a row.
Yeah, and they played poorly against Perth in game 1 and still found a way. I think a difference is, like you said, Delhi can go some way to stopping Bryce, or at least drive him around the bend on his way to another 30-point game. I think possibly Jenkins might play on Davis, or they'll bring Kenyon in. Maybe. I don't know what you do about Kendrick, and I think this is Kendrick's big moment. Yep. I think Gorge would be in his ear ever since that MVP night, saying you the real MVP, letting him know that this is his time. And I think Davis is going to dominate, and I think Sydney are going to dominate. That's what I think, and I think we might see some Adelaide emotional implosions again.
Let's hope.
Yeah. It's just Sydney are just strong everywhere. Like we said the other day, if everyone's quiet, if everyone's having a quiet game, Torrey Craig comes on and scores 20. And It happened in game 1 that we talked about just before. They've just got depth everywhere. Malawatch, 23. We haven't even mentioned Cooks.
Yeah. he didn't have a great 2 games.
No.
Suarez as well, pretty quiet across both games. So they've still got others that can step up.
Yeah, I think they are. I'm going to go Sydney just for the theatre. I'm going to go Sydney in 3.
Well, at least we've got both Sydney, which I feel weird because I dislike Sydney probably more than I dislike Adelaide. But I just think they've got the weapons to do it.
Yeah, I've often been a non-Sydney fan, but I love Gorgon. Love the guy. I'd love to see him. Do you think he would call it a day if they win? I saw someone mention that. Xavier Cooks mentioned it today, that he said he wasn't going to, but someone must have brought it to his attention.
I think he's at least one more season. I think they'll try and get Bogut a little bit more acclimatized, and then he'll move on and expect Bogut to step up.
Imagine the brains power in Sydney. I mean, you compare it to what the Bullets had this year. Imagine being able to be a Kings player and be able to speak to Bogut, Gorgon, Longley, Deladova. Like that's crazy in one place.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So Sydney all round.
Sydney all round. You've got them in 3. I've got them in 5. So we'll move on to a bit of news this week. So obviously the first big one coming out was the Bullets signing Will Weaver as head coach and president of basketball operations. There's also a report that I saw today that ownership shares may have been a part of the deal. So that was reported by Matt Logue. It's the only source that I can find that says anything about this at this point in time. We've got a Bullets members forum tonight, so we'll see if this gets raised. And obviously,
is Will Weaver going to be at this forum?
He is.
Expectation? Yeah.
He is. So we'll have Mel and Will. So I can report on that.
I don't think that anything bad can come of this. Well, it could come of this move because it's the Bullets, but I think they're doing everything they possibly can to improve. They're giving him the power. He gets to choose his players. I heard him on NBL Now, I think it was, and he sounds pumped. He sounds ready for it. Bit of lip service with people overseas talk about the Brisbane Bullets, things like that. But that's what you got to do. He's already starting to sell the club. Yeah, I'm very keen to see what he does with that roster. Another fascinating one.
Yeah, certainly sounds like he's got a lot of leash to do what he needs to do. And obviously, continuing on with them, D-Mac and Vandy both being let go, or they've departed. It was kind of expected. Do you think D-Mac, at the very least, has been treated maybe a little bit harshly?
I think he had to move on. I think he's an NBL level assistant coach. Yeah, I think he was almost forced to take that head coach job, wasn't he? He must have known he was on a hiding to nothing. I quite enjoyed how he spoke out. First against the ownership was good. That had his paper stamped from that moment. But I know there were people first up going, "Oh, we should give him the job." I don't think that was ever a realistic chance. So no, I don't really think it's harsh he had to take the job, or that he did take the job and it went as badly as it did.
Yeah.
But I think it's the right move, and I'm sure he could get an assistant coach job somewhere else if he wants one, but he's at the Wizards up here, isn't he? Northern Wizards, I think he coaches in the NBL one. So yeah, how about you? What are your thoughts?
I agree. I think it was forced into the job, didn't really want it, got talked into it. It was a no-win situation. So in that regards, it was a little bit harsh on him, but being moved on, not really. I think it needed to be happened. They needed a clean out. Will needs to be able to bring in his own people, especially as president of operations. He's going to have a bit of focus on that side of things. So he needs people that he can trust to do the other work while he's focusing on some of that stuff. The other big thing that they... Sorry.
I was just going to say before, when I was talking about DJ and Humphreys, if Adelaide had lost and they were unhappy, I was thinking that there were potential Will Weaver signings. DJ definitely would have played for him up here. I mean, in Sydney, sorry. Humphreys was at Sydney, but I'm not sure if it was with Weaver. But I thought they might be the sort of people Bullets might look at if they're available, but
yeah,
you never know what's going to happen in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, we had someone ask about Humphreys in one of our group chats, and I was a firm no.
Yeah, if you don't need, if Tyrell's there still, if Tyrell Harrison's still there, it's not necessary anyway.
Yeah. So the Bullets featured quite a bit this week in news. They also announced that they've got Angel Reese joining a prospective ownership group for a Brisbane team in the WNBL. So she's joining Jason Levian and Ben Hahn, who are both part of the Bullets ownerships. So what do you think of that?
I think it's great. Someone with a name wants to be involved in it. I was reading about her. She seems to be very business savvy for someone so young. So that's great. We need a Brisbane WNBL team. I remember the Blazers from back in the day.
Yeah,
it's been a long time without one, and there is a place for one.
Yeah, even the ladies' Bullets.
Yeah.
I agree. Love her or hate her, what she's doing off the court in terms of her business and so forth is just brilliant. To be able to afford to be part of an ownership group with the salary that she's on in the WNBA, you know that she's doing the right things.
Good week for the Bullets.
It's been quite good. The next bit of news that I've seen is that the Breakers have stated that Judd Flavel is not returning to the club. Looks like he is signed on as head coach for the Shinushu Brave Warriors. And apparently Modi Mayor is number one on their list.
Interesting that he didn't want to... Did they tell him? Obviously, we don't know. But did they tell him he's not going to get the job? Because it seemed like it was his to have.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the case, but you can't complain about Modi Mayor coming back. He was great. Excellent.
It's going to cost him.
Yeah.
He's on a packet over in Japan.
Yeah, they seem to be willing to... They want to right that ship very quickly, New Zealand. I mean, I've said it for every single team, but that'll be an interesting watch over the off-season. See what they do. Yeah. I mean, good on Judd Flavel for going and getting a job after being an assistant over here. But yeah, Modi Mayor would be a really good... Getting him back would be a massive positive for them. I haven't heard any other names mentioned, actually, since him.
No, neither have I.
You'd expect something soon there.
Yeah. Do you think him and Weaver could challenge it out for the best dressed?
Yeah, I was actually thinking about the best dressed. Yeah. Oh, gee, Modi would take some beating. Although, it's got to be an award. There has to be a new award. And I think other coaches need to get on board that as well.
I agree.
Too many polo shirts with black trousers and a belt. Need to be better. John really just wears a full tracksuit sometimes.
The next bit of news is that Glover has re-signed for 2 years with the Phoenix. Great move. I'm disappointed.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Another one that's played for Will Weaver in Sydney that I thought was a chance.
Yep.
But he seems very comfortable down there, and I think it seems like players like living in Melbourne, and you would. It's pretty nice place to live and be a professional athlete, I think. Pretty well looked after. But yeah, that would have been a good one for the Bullets.
Yeah, he was on my wish list. So that's all the news I think that I've seen. Now we're on to our questions without notice. Did you want to go first?
Yep. Okay. Well, since we spoke about it before, the great agitators of the 90s. See, I was going to just hit you with this without any intro, so I was going to put you on the spot, but now you've had time to think about it. But who, if maybe name two or three of the original Rakoceviches?
Yeah. So I had names before when I was talking about him. It was they first popped in and I had the moment I thought he's that type of player. So Mark Dalton, actually the Dalton brothers. I think all three of mine were all Sydney. Damien Keogh and Tim Morrissey.
Well, I've got two more names to throw at you. Grant Kruger.
Yep.
And Ray Gordon.
Yeah.
I remember a preseason game, I think he knocked Andrew Parkinson out. Just not an accidental elbow, it was a punch to the face.
Yep.
They were good names. All those Sydney ones, they were good. Dean Utoff.
Yeah,
Just a
huge
huge
mountain.
Yeah. A lot of them ended up coming through the Bullets. I know Grant Kruger had a year or two of the Bullets. The Daltons. I had
Mark
Sibley
did.
written down. Mark, that's right. I had Sibley written down.
Yeah, he was one of those.
Bit of an enforcer. And then probably later day, more recent, since the Bullets have come back, Vacona and Petrie.
Vacona, definitely. Maybe not the biggest agitator.
Just tough.
Dylan Boucher as well.
Yeah.
Was one of those.
I remember a game where Petrie, I think he was in Adelaide at the time, was just winding a very young Chris Goulding up for a whole game, just at him all game. It was great. And Goulding exploded. And the Adelaide crowd loved it. Loved every second of it. All right, that was a good one. Next one. What do you think about 3-game series, even a 5-game series now? I heard this one elsewhere. After every game at the moment, they're shaking hands. Should the players just wait until after the last game to shake hands?
Yeah, I've seen this one mentioned a few times as well. I agree. Wait till after the series.
Yeah. There's no love. After game 1 and 2, there's no love in the handshakes. They're not even looking at each other.
There's too much tension. There's too much risk for something to explode. So, yeah, just leave it. End the game, end of series.
Yeah.
And then do it.
That was an easy one. I agree with you there. And my third one is, if you could change the play-ins, if you could get rid of the play-ins and make those 2 semi-final series best of 5s. It's tough.
That's a tough one.
It's a tough segment. Questions without notice.
I don't mind the playing games though. Could you have both?
No, that's not an option.
Too many games. Extends it out. No, I've got to keep the play in.
Keep playing. I think the best of 5 semi-finals are inevitable. I think they're going to happen. So I think, like you said, maybe they will both happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, the play-ins have been really good in the past. Like last year, I think, when Southeast Melbourne came back from a long way down against Adelaide. Games like that were good, but then you have your Melbourne and Tassie games from this year that could have been any old game. And just like that excitement. And the empty crowd in Perth for the Melbourne-Perth game. Things like that work against the play-in. The one-off games are exciting, but I think that Adelaide Southeast Melbourne series is best of 5. Gee, it would have been good. Would have been so good.
Yeah, I think part of the issue, especially with the crowd numbers, is that they're increasing ticket prices.
Yeah.
And so people just don't want to pay that, especially if you think your team's going to move on. You know, for Perth, they knew that even if they lost that first game, there was going to be a second game for them. And then possibly, another one. So I think the NBL need to look at the ticket prices for those games, maybe not increase them. And then, okay, maybe for your playoffs, you can increase them. But once again, the way they're increasing them, it's just not doable in this current climate.
If the Bullets had made the playoffs as a season ticket holder, what would your process be? Do you just get first dibs on tickets for the game?
I believe so. From what I saw, I think that's how it works. That's what the Perth fans were doing. That's how I saw that a lot of members hadn't purchased tickets for that game against United.
Yeah, they're spoiled. Perth fans, they're spoiled. That's what it is.
Yep.
We'd love it.
Yep.
We'd love a playing game in Brisbane.
Yeah, the complaining that I've seen from some fans about them not moving on and that it's not good enough finishing where they have.
My last one, well, it's not even a question, it's just a statement, actually. I wish that the 36ers still played at the powerhouse. Like the previous stadium. Those, I mean, the entertainment centre sells out and it's obviously good for their bottom line, but just the atmosphere at those games, they were just, like, even on TV, they were like no other stadium in the country, and the visiting teams just copped it. It's not the same. It's not the same. That's it. That's my statement. Move back to the powerhouse.
Yep. That place grew. So I can remember when they first moved there to the powerhouse. I went to a game because I've got family down in Adelaide. And so we went to a game while we were down there and it was dead. We sat there and we were like, what is this? This is not a game of basketball. So it got better as it went on and became a powerhouse, not just in name.
Just those late 90s years where they won championships, just the noise that came through the TV from those crowds.
Yep.
Loved it. All right.
Okay, my question's for you. If you were in charge of the NBL, where would you be putting the next expansion team?
I'm really bad with this at just going for the old teams. I just love retro NBL so much. I would find it very difficult not to look in Townsville, bring the Crocs back, Newcastle, Canberra. I've done no study into that. I haven't crunched the numbers or anything. I've just thought about where teams used to be and how good it was to have these teams, and that's where I'd look.
Yep. So, I really like Canberra. And I've seen over the past week, there's a petition that's been created to bring back the Townsville Crocs.
Yeah, and they've got to be the Crocs, and they've got to be the Cannons. And I forgot about Gold Coast, actually, but gee, they've had a few turns at it.
Yeah, I don't like Gold Coast as an option. All right, that was a fairly easy one.
And that's you. Would you say Townsville and Canberra?
Yeah, Townsville or Canberra. Probably Canberra to start off with, and then Townsville as the one after that. So my next question is a bit of a weird one. So if a foul is called on a player, it's reviewed, and it's determined that the defensive player flopped. Should they receive an automatic tech foul? And furthermore, should we just do away with the flop warning and hand out automatic tech fouls?
Is this triggered by Glover on the weekend?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was so bad. I thought, who was it? Flynn Cameron handled that so well to just walk away. That would have, that should have been, I would have tech fouled him. Upon watching that, I'd think it would be fair for him to get a tech foul because he didn't just fall down, he rolled around like he'd been shot and nothing happened. Like he had his arms wrapped around Cameron as much as Cameron had his arms wrapped around him. So, yes, I think I don't mind a flop warning on a team. Is it on a player at the moment? It's
on a player.
I see. I'd give a team warning, and then after that, tech fouls for flops. And on crazy ones like that, where you have to review it, I would go back and tech foul Glover.
Tech foul.
Good question.
I like that one. Even for the Cotton Davis.
I think it's when they roll around on the ground like they might need to be stretched off. But then it's hard because where do you draw the line? But yeah, that drives me crazy too.
All right. Question number 3. If you were a coach and you had players who left their feet on defense, are you benching them as a wall?
Yeah, it depends on the circumstances. Depends if it's a serial offender. I'm leaning towards a yes. And depends who they're on. If it's someone crafty that catches you out every time, yeah, I'm leaning towards a yes on that. Almost every time, depending on circumstances. How about that? You have coached. What would you did you drag those 8-year-old kids off if they left their feet?
I ask it because it's a pet hate of mine. So yes, I was benching my 14-year-olds.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that I've seen a lot this season. So many defenders leaving their feet, and then players able just to blow by them or reset and get their shot off because their defenders now pass them.
I saw Josh King absolutely explode at Lewis during one of those games. It was the last shot at the end of the third quarter when they were up by 15 or something, and he still just exploded at him for leaving his feet.
Yeah. All right, one more question. Players playing throughout the off-season, be it NBL or overseas, good or bad in terms of potential impact on their bodies and not getting the required rest?
I imagine it's bad for their bodies, but I think they would have to do it to make a living. I don't think they have a choice. NBL 1's not paying them. The NBL teams aren't going to pay them to sit around all winter. So I think it's a necessity, but it can't be good for them playing all year in, year out.
Which means we've kind of got to look at paying them a little bit better.
Yeah.
Especially for the lower players so that they don't have to.
And I don't know. It'd be really good to have some bigger names. We get a few, but bigger names in the NBL 1. Just for a selfish point of view, because they're on TV and there's a team down the road that can go and watch. You had that year with Ipswich where Sobey was playing, didn't you? And you got right into it.
Yep, I still go to a game every so often. It's a bit harder with not being able to drive, but certainly try to get there.
Yeah, I mean, in an ideal world, if they could get players playing NBL 1, great, but they're going to get paid a lot. I'm sure they're getting paid more to play overseas than they even do in the NBL for their off seasons.
Yeah, I bring it up. For those who haven't seen, I suggest you go and have a look at the Bullets Nation podcast that we did, where we spoke about schedules and travel and what that actually does to players in terms of injury impact and so forth.
Is that a Bullets Nation t-shirt you're wearing?
It is. It's my Bullets Nation podcast shirt.
Okay, where's our t-shirts? Where's the Inside the Keyway t-shirts?
I wear this one to the games. It's got a QR code on the back. So we might have to look at a Inside the Keyway t-shirt.
When I signed my contract, it definitely had a t-shirt on there and not much else.
Well, we'll look into that. So I think that's pretty much it for today's episode. As always, if you enjoyed the episode, make sure you're subscribed so you never miss anything. And share it with someone who loves the NBL as much as you do. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcast. And you can follow us on all the socials as Inside the Keyway. And if you've got any questions or thoughts, please leave them in the comments for us. And until next time, keep watching the space, respect the shot clock, and we'll see you inside the Keyway.
See you later.